What could you do to protect your pets if you're sick or injured? My product, Save My Pet ID tag, helps you ensure that your beloved pets are safe and well cared for, even when life isn't what you expect.
Our next guest has done something some of us have thought about, talked about. She has boldly moved to another country, and she did it with her best friend, a sweet dog named Dazzle. She's here to show some insights into making such a move, what life is like in her country of Portugal. So please, at this time, give pause and applause to our friend, Debbie Bradford. Welcome, Debbie.
Oh, thank you, Arden. Happy to be here.
And we have to clear the air right off the top. We know each other from a previous life, right, Debbie? You want to tell them?
Yes, the Sun Sentinel newspaper in the 90s in Fort Lauderdale area.
We were both reporters. I think I was in the Delray Beach News Bureau for most of the time, and you were?
For a couple of years, I was in Delray, but mostly in Fort Lauderdale.
All right. So we are ex-byline babes, right?
Yes.
Do you remember newspapers, everybody? We were there during the heyday, right? Things are going good.
Yes.
There were three competitive newspapers in South Florida, and it was fun to be a reporter back then. But let's speed forward to 2025. And what intrigued me about having Debbie as our guest is that she loves her dog. She loves to travel. And she has made the move. She's made the move. She's relocated to a foreign country. Earlier, we had Kim Campbell Thornton on talking about just traveling with your pet to Europe. But what motivated you, Debbie, to say, I think I want to live in Portugal?
Well, I had been looking at moving to another country for many years. I retired early in 2011. Okay. And first I moved to the Caribbean for a couple of years and moved to Hawaii for about a year. And then I was like, I've always wanted to live in an RV. So I came back to the mainland, bought an RV, and I spent the next about 9 or so years driving around the country. So then I thought, I've seen like most of the USA. And also, before you even knew me, I was a scuba instructor in Fort Lauderdale. So I've seen like most of the Caribbean and the Bahamas. I was like, I want to see Europe, but It's like, it's so far away. So maybe I should move there. So I made a short list of countries, and they're going to be all the same ones that if you've ever looked at becoming an expat, you're going to have the same list. There's going to be like Mexico and Panama, Ecuador, Costa Rica, Belize, and Portugal, Spain, and France. Okay, those are the ones that everybody.
Okay, all right.
So then I started doing the compare and contrast.
You've got reporter skills, you know how to do research. That's awesome.
Right. And so Belize kind of moved up to the top. There's an island there where a lot of people live. And I thought, it'd be really great for scuba diving. And it was affordable.
Isn't that the second largest barrier reef in Ambergris Caye?
Yeah. Yes, Ambergris Caye. I was looking at that. And then I found out that if I have any major medical issues, that I have to get on a plane. And I was like, well, I'm like in my late 60s. I don't think that's going to work. So,
in other words, it doesn't have a big hospital healthcare.
No, if you get more than a broken toe or a boo-boo.
It's just got the song Madonna sings about tropical paradise, whatever it is. Okay, well, that's actually smart. You did that research. Okay.
Yeah, and I will go there. In fact, I might even go there this coming summer. But so then I'm starting to look at some other countries, and Panama and Ecuador. A lot of friends went and they did their scouting trips there, and they didn't like it. And it's very popular. They're very good places. But I thought, if people that are my friends don't really like it, maybe I won't. And then another friend said, "Hey, have you thought about Portugal?" And I was like, I actually haven't. And so I started doing the research. And so Portugal is, I forget the exact number now because it changes every year. And I've been researching for a few years. I think it's the 7th safest country in the world.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, as a solo senior woman, that sounds pretty good to me. And then I started researching like cost of living. So I lived in an RV for many years before I came over here. And the cost to put an RV in a driveway can be $1,000 or more a month in the United States. There's cheaper places, but maybe $1,000 or so a month. And I have here in Portugal, I've got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath furnished with a garage and 2 balconies for just a little over $1,000 a month. I was like, wow, because I retired early, that really fits the bill. And then, it's a dog friendly country. You might hear some people say, oh, they're not nice to dogs here. Well, I guess like every country, there's some people that are not. I haven't met them on my street.
I don't want to meet them either.
I don't want to meet them. Well, I'm like on a family street. It's all condos, but it's a lot of young people and families, and everybody's walking a dog, and all the dogs are quite foofer, and you can tell that they're spoiled dogs. And I'm like, wow, so people really love dogs here. Another funny thing about renting here is by Portugal law, if the real estate rental ad does not specifically say no pets, they have to allow them.
Oh, nice.
My landlord had a dog until I was already here, and he came over to fix something, and I was a little nervous about that, and he fell in love with Dazzle because she's so sweet.
Okay, so that's a perfect interlude. Who is Dazzle? The world is wanting to know, because what a great name.
Oh, well, Dazzle named herself.
Oh, of course she did.
Most of my pets name them. I'll look at them. I'm like, oh, that's your name? Okay. So she's the international dog of mystery. She's been to 7 countries and has many more in the chute. She's a 6.5-year-old Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. She's from an excellent breeder in Fort Lauderdale who is actually a retired neonatal nurse, and he's been breeding Cavaliers for well over a quarter of a century, and not like a mass breeder. People get upset about that. He's got
breeders out there,
1 or 2. And I think everybody that gets a puppy from him has gotten other puppies from him in the past. She's not my first puppy from him. And she is such a doll. She is brown and white. They call that Blenheim after Blenheim Castle. And Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, the name is longer than the dog. And she loves to travel. She's been on pretty much every mode of transportation, except she's never been on a submarine, and she's never been on a ski lift. She's done pretty much everything. Oh, she's never been
on a ski lift, but not a submarine. Okay, Dazzle, you and I need to go to a sub. I just shop at Subway, but that's a whole different story. So you got a great dog. You've got a well-mannered dog, and there's a lot of work involved. Is there something that might surprise you? I just came back from Portugal, and next time I go, because I will come back, the people are friendly, everyone. We saw well-mannered dogs on the beach. We were down in the southern end of Albufeira and Algarve and Lagos and things like that, and I didn't know my geography. It was a short trip, and you were 4 or 5 hours away, and I just couldn't do it. But I will come back, I promise. But what is it you like the best? It sounds like you're in a nice neighborhood. It's safe. It's affordable. It's pet friendly. How's your Portuguese? Bom dia.
Oh, it's hard. I took classes at Coimbra University, which is, I think it's the oldest university in Portugal and one of the very oldest in Europe and the world.
Wow.
And so I did really good on reading and writing, but it's hard to hear it and to speak it. So now that I've gotten some good grades in reading and writing, my thing to do in the coming months is to work more on speaking. And so I've made a lot of expat friends, but I've also made a lot of local friends who are here. And they want to help me out. And another friend she's a little more advanced, she's going to start having Zoom classes on Tuesday and Wednesday nights that we can chatter.
Well, let me tell you, I was there, and I know bom dia is good day, and obrigada, feminine version, is thank you. So I made sure I knew those 2 words. I didn't learn how to say, how can I have another glass of port wine? But I'll work on that next trip. But someone told me, and it was a Portuguese, that Portuguese sounds like you're a drunk Italian when you speak. Is that correct?
I've heard that. Yeah. They talk so fast and they slur all their words together. And that's why it's hard to hear it.
But it's kind of a nice challenge, isn't it, for you, Debbie?
It is. I don't work. I retired at 55, and it's good to have a challenge and something to work on. And I find that the locals are very helpful. And if I mispronounce something, they're very quick to, in a very polite way, correct me nicely. Not that they're trying to be smarter than me, but that they know that I want to know how to do it right. And most people here, they speak enough English to get around. So like I speak enough Portuguese to order food or, go to the vet or whatever.
Oh, hang on. So we're going to dive in more about that, but we got to take a quick break. And you all know the drill. We got to sit, stay. We'll be right back.
Hey, have you heard? Four-Legged Life has a new digital newsletter. Here, let me show you how you get yourself subscribed. So you just type in Four-Legged Life, and that'll take you to the website. There we go. And this magic thing just appears, and you type in your email address. I'll use, let's see, how about coolestdogever@gmail.com. That's me. And then you just click on this thing here. There you go. It's the new digital newsletter from Four-Legged Life. Get subscribed today.
Welcome back to the Four-Legged Life Show. I'm your host, Arden Moore. I'm speaking Portuguese. Well, I'm speaking about Portugal and her pal, Dazzle, who now live with her. We're speaking of Debbie Bradford. She's an expat from the United States and a former newspaper buddy of mine. And she is now living in Portugal. And you brought up the fact that, medical care for you is important, but medical care for Dazzle is also important. So how is the scene for veterinary care? And tell people where in Portugal you live and where that is located. Pretend you're a map. Where is it?
I am in Coimbra, Coimbra. Everybody thinks it's QU. It's not. Coimbra. And it's between Porto and Lisbon. So it's in the middle. And it's about an hour by train from the beach. So it's a little further inland.
Okay.
And it's got, like the oldest university in Portugal. It's so historic. I took Portuguese lessons there. And I'd look out the window and look at a Roman aqueduct.
You couldn't do that in South Florida.
So
another house.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So why did you pick that town?
Well, I picked, and this is funny. So our other colleague from the Sun Sentinel, Steve de Oliveira, he and another colleague, Sally James, we were in Portugal last summer and, we're checking out, the country. And Steve said, hey, my grandfather graduated from Coimbra University in 1918. Do you mind if we go there for a day? I was like, yeah, sure. I got out of the taxi. We took, the train and then the taxi to, downtown. I had the weirdest feeling like I'm at home. It was really strange. Nice. So spent the day and people were so nice and students would want to talk to us. They could tell we were from America and they were just so nice. And I had my dog on that vacation. Everybody wanted to talk to the dog. And I was like, oh, I love it here. So they went home. I was over here all summer. They went home and I thought, I'm going to go check that Coimbra out again. And I went just by myself and I was like, this feels like home.
That's good. And so how did you travel with Dazzle on the train? Because I know there's a lot of rules in the United States, but they're a little bit more welcoming, aren't they? If pets are properly transported on a train? No?
I didn't use public transportation in the U.S. other than airplanes. But here, if she's in a carrier, it's fine. Also on the bus, she can be in a carrier and it's fine. If it's a bigger dog, they have to have a muzzle.
Okay,
but she's fair. Too little for a muzzle. It won't even fit. She's like this little cute thing. So the travel bag, but then also why Coimbra? So they not only have the medical university, which Steve's grandfather graduated from, he was a doctor, but they also have the medical school, the veterinary medical school.
Oh,
here.
nice.
Veterinarians that have graduated from the university and they're so young and they're so cute, but they all speak English. And I feel like I'm getting like the newest treatments or whatever. I just took her for a heartworm test. They do have heartworm here, and to get the prescription, you got to go once a year. And it just seemed a lot more high tech.
That's pretty nice. Yeah. Now, can you take Dazzle inside a restaurant?
Not really, no. But we can sit outside. A very few do welcome her once in a while, because I never go anywhere with her without her carry bag.
Okay.
Even if we're just walking, well, in the neighborhood we don't. And sometimes I'll ask people, if she's in her bag, can I bring her in? And sometimes they say yes. Or sometimes they say no.
And what about, when I've been to Portugal and other European places, is there something in the air? Because most dogs tend to be non-reactive. I've seen on the beach. I've been to Kensington Palace. What is it about the vibe of dogs in Europe? They seem to be very well-mannered for the most part.
I think because the people have a more relaxed vibe. I felt pretty tense living in the U.S. and here I feel really relaxed. I feel safe. I hope the woofing isn't too loud.
That's fine. Dazzle wants to talk.
I'm sure you get a lot of woofing on Four-Legged Life.
Yeah.
And, it's just more relaxing. But yes, there are a few reactive dogs, but, for the most part, no.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
So you wanted to go on the Queen Mary to go to Europe to get to Portugal. Tell us, we've got about 5 minutes left. So just quickly tell us, what is the Queen Mary when it comes to transporting pets across the pond?
Oh, well, it's amazing. And I saw about 10 years ago that you could take your dog on the Queen Mary too. And I was like, I want to do that. But just hadn't gotten around to it. So finally I arranged. It can take up to 2 years to get a kennel spot because they only have, I forget the exact number, but they don't have many of them. And so I did reserve about 2 years in advance. The kennel masters are amazing. So anyone who thinks, oh, that's so mean to have your dog at the Queen Mary too. Oh, no. And you can visit them for 8 hours a day. There's, I forget if it's 3 or 4 different sessions where you can go visit, and you'll actually make good friends with the other dog owners when you're doing that. So there is a cost. The costs have changed. When I took her, she's a small dog. It was $800. The big dogs were $1,000. I don't know what it is now, but it did go up a little bit.
Well, it's called life, and the year passes.
Yeah. They feed them, and you can walk them on a special part of the deck. And it's just really wonderful. So we were supposed to come over on it last April or May, and the boat broke down. I was like, oh no, I'm supposed to spend 4 months overseas with my dog. So the Cunard actually sent a private jet for us. So here's somebody who was living in a camper, took a private jet to the UK.
Hey, when in Europe, take a jet. Well, I've noticed that there is more of these jet services. They're not cheap, but they allow well-mannered dogs to join you in the cabin and, protocols, of course. So how did Dazzle do on the jet?
Oh, well, it actually wasn't a pet jet. It was just like a bombardier that they chartered. And so most of the dogs just sat on the furniture, but she flies a lot in her sturdy bag carrier. And I thought, she'll probably feel more comfortable doing that. So I put her in her sturdy bag. It was an overnight flight, and she was fine in her little carrier. And we had a cat sitting across from us, and the cat was wonderful. So it was really great. And then we did take the boat back, and then I took the boat this May to move to Portugal.
Okay. So you plan to stay there. You like Portugal?
Yes. So last summer I had decided, okay, I'm going to come. I'm going to go live in Coimbra. Another thing about the Queen Mary too that's interesting is that if you're moving across the pond in either direction, you can bring as much luggage as you can get in your stateroom. And so people use it. They've got a dog and they've got some stuff, and they literally, like one couple that was in the kennels with me, their dog was in the kennels. They had 24 bags up against the wall in their room.
Wow. Well, okay, so you're there in the country. You don't have Amazon coming every 2 minutes and Chewy.com. So talk about getting pet food, pet supplies there. Any tips?
Well, they do have Amazon ES. They don't have Amazon Portugal, but they have Amazon ES. If you use Amazon UK or Amazon.com, you have to pay duties, but you don't on the Amazon.es.
Oh,
so there are some pretty good pet shops here. Dazzle eats raw, and I have not found raw dog food anywhere near me, and I've really looked. So right now I have friends bring her dehydrated raw food over when they visit, and I put it on top of raw good meat from the grocery.
Yeah.
And of course, she loves the local sardines.
Okay, I did try sardines on toast. I thought I was gonna this is not gonna happen, but I loved it. What is it about the sardines in Portugal?
Just they're fresh. They're from here. You can't get them any fresher.
And the other thing I learned is in Portugal, your postcards are made out of not paper, but what? That's the tree that is the largest producer of
Cork.
cork.
Yes.
So we got a minute left, Deb. I know Debbie, it goes by fast. Parting advice or thoughts about life in Portugal with Dazzle, the Cavalier King Charles.
Just if you want to do it, do it. It's not scary. People think, "Oh, you're so brave." I'm not brave. I just looked up the rules. You go to the USDA APHIS website to find out how to move your dog. They just, go online, do some Googling, find out how to get you there, find out how to get the dog there. Don't bring your stuff. It's not worth it.
Okay, good. Start again, right?
And just start fresh. It's cheaper, it's easier, and you don't have to wait 3 months for your stuff and pay duties on it. So dog life here.
You live there as long as you want, or do you have to get dual citizenship or?
Oh, well, I'm not even eligible for citizenship for 5 more years. But first you have to get a D7. Well, I have a D7 visa. I'm retired. There's a variety of visas that people can Google. And then I had to go to the immigration agency and apply for my temporary residency, which is 2 years. When that expires, I can apply for a 3-year residency. So after the 5 years have elapsed, I can go for permanent residency or citizenship.
Okay.
And I don't know, it's 5 years away. I'll decide when I get there. But I can now stay here as long as I want. I can travel back and forth. There is a certain number of days I have to be in the country, and I don't have that memorized, but you can look it all up.
All right. And do you have a U.S. passport? Can you get a Portuguese passport?
I can once I get citizenship.
Okay. Well, Debbie, you made headlines as a great reporter at the Fort Lauderdale Sun-Sentinel, and now you're making headlines as someone who just didn't think about it, but just did it and moved to Portugal with a beautiful roommate, Dazzle. So I want to tell you, thank you so much for being on our show.
Thanks so much for making our tails wag by watching this guest interview from Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life. Four-Legged Life. Make sure to subscribe so you're up to date with all of our Four-Legged Life content. Four-Legged Life. Four-Legged Life.